those intricate designs you see. That was the kid's job. 8 years old, was doing those 24 hours. And his daily reward was a bowl of rice a day. And he only paid off 1 rupee a day. 1 rupee a day on what was owed. And because the interest keeps on going because of the term of the loan, it means it could never be paid off. He was going to be a kid laborer for the rest of his life. So after 2-3 years, he ran away with the help of a human rights activist in the area. But according to the story, he was found and was assassinated, was killed at age 12. And this kid, Craig, thousands of miles away in Canada, was flipping through a newspaper for a comics assignment he had in school when he was age 12. He saw the story of that kid. It moved him, touched him. He started lobbying prime ministers and organizations. He got out his friends, they made posters. Now he created this organization that now serves a lot of kids. He gets thousands of letters. You go to his website, the stories are unlimited. Some of them are unbelievable. He turned his temporary sadness of what he saw into purpose. The last example I want to use is Charlie Brown. You know Charlie Brown, Peanuts? It's a true story. Did you know? It was a true story. The person that wrote that comics book. He flunked out of school. He had no, he flunked out of everything. Sports, not good. Class, not good. Studying, not good. Everything. But he had one skill. He knew how to draw. And he combined his skill of knowing how to draw to his story of being the awkward loser kid. Together, best-selling comics book, probably one of the best of all time. Turning your sadness, turning what you think is weird about you to purpose. That's going to create a long-term solution to any feelings of sadness, feeling down you might be experiencing. And you still feel it from time to time, but when you know your life has meaning, you're doing something that means something to you, and in that process it means something to the world, you always feel valued in yourself, valued by the world because of what you're doing. You might not be as popular, as famous as all these examples, but you know, people you impact know, who you talk to know. And that's all that matters. And everyone's life is a story. I'm going to go through this one real quickly. It depends on your character that you're playing in the story. Are you the court jester? Are you the martyr? Are you the victim? Or are you the main character? Because anytime you're the main character in your life, you act in a different way. You feel in control. And the main character, in every TV show, every movie, you recognize the main character immediately. The main character always has a desire. Finding love, finding God, breaking out of prison, whatever it is. They're trying to accomplish something. And as long as you're living, your story hasn't ended. You're like a TV show, like a General Hospital. Probably the longest TV show in history. And some people's lives is an example, some is a warning. Everybody knows Hitler, right? Over here, an example of what not to do. Over here is Gandhi. Follow him. This is what he did. Any of you have been to Sunday school? Growing up? No? No one? Okay. Any of you familiar with the story in the Bible, like Joseph, David, Abraham? Yeah? No? No? Okay. Well, if you're not familiar with that, at least you're familiar with this example of the historical figures that shows you both sides of the ledger. People to follow, people not to follow. That gives you perspective on how you can structure your life. Because if I ask you now, run through to me your last week, what the things you did. Is this something that you would tell someone to follow as an example? To live that way? And if it's not, what are you going to do this week to change it? Because anytime you choose, anytime you want, you can change what you do. Like that. And your life can turn from a warning to an example. I used to use that, this for exercise. Trauma is not attached to the bruise. The bruise can heal. It's not permanent. You're not defined by your struggle. You're not defined by the things that challenge you. You're defined by the decisions you make, what you do. And even if you've been making the wrong decisions, you're still not defined by that. You're defined by what you do after that. That can always change at any moment in time. And then last exercise, and we're done. Before we start the exercise, first is forgiveness. Sometimes it's easier to forgive someone than to forgive ourselves. We tend to be too self-critical. We judge ourselves too harshly. We think that we are actually helping ourselves by judging ourselves, that we have a conscience. But sometimes that can be detrimental. It's like driving with a rear view mirror. How many of you drive? When you drive, do you look at the rear view mirror? Briefly, sometimes you might check to see what's coming behind you. But you don't look, 90% of the time your eyes is forward, looking at where you're going. But when you're ruminating and you're criticizing yourself, it's like you're driving with a rearview mirror. You're looking at the past. But for some reason, that never stops us from not doing it. Because we have been ingrained so much by self-criticism that by criticizing ourselves we're changing, but we're not. Because what happens is when you're ruminating is that you miss what's right in front of you. Like that person driving with a rearview mirror, and then you will see what's coming in to crash. What happens is that when you crash, because you're looking at a rearview mirror, you use that immediate crash as an evidence that you are worthless, you are not enough. When in fact you were not paying attention. And now you're looking at the crash that happened immediately right after that. You crash again. So this is an assessment to bring you to the present. And it's in 3 steps. They call it habit loops. These are the things that you are aware or not aware of. Awareness is a tricky thing. You might be aware of your bad habits, but you're not fully aware of them. For example, when you're driving, you drive automatically. You don't think about pressing gas or pressing the brake. Your brain already knows to do that. Sometimes when you are in the shower preparing to come to school, your mind is already in school. Thinking about school in the shower. Taking off your clothes, tying your shoes. These are the things you do automatically. When you put your clothes, you didn't even feel how your clothes feels on your body right now because your brain tunes it out. You might feel it right now that I said it. Your brain automatically deletes most of the things going on around you. So you're not aware of it. You have a general idea, but you're not fully aware. So this is to bring your awareness in the present, in the now. And to really understand, maybe for the first time, to see triggers that might be causing you sadness, what you do right after, and the results. So get a pen, a piece of paper. Let's practice. I've been going a long time. Whoa, 3:22. I wasn't even aware I was being. How long are you guys are staring at me like, when is this gonna end? This practice isn't done with them. So trigger. Trigger is any moment of sadness you've experienced. Behavior, what you do right after. Results, temporary results and long-term results. For example, mine sometimes, I feel anxious about schoolwork. And sometimes when I feel anxious, I just eat. Go on a sugar rush. And then when I go on a sugar rush, a few minutes of distraction from the anxious that I'm feeling from the amount of schoolwork that I have to do. But then I beat myself up for trying to escape. But then I repeat it again. Because I'm unaware. Another one that I can think of, I have a lot of them on my phone, I'm using it for here right now. Social media. I used to scroll through Twitter. When I scroll through Twitter, maybe I see a tweet I agree with or disagree with. Usually when I disagree with it, I'll just stay there and argue with myself. Oh, they were right, how about this, why would they write that, all this. Just argue with myself. I do this mostly with YouTube videos. Okay, yeah, YouTube videos. When I'm watching a YouTube video, it says something, I'll pause it and start arguing with myself and start talking, debating by myself. Results? Nothing. I'm tired, sometimes headache. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by how much to-do list I have to do in a day. Behavior, I just sit down and look at my to-do list. Hours and hours and think about how I'm going to do it. Results, not do anything. Just feeling overwhelmed, feeling freaked out, not planning. So, think about anything. You can think of anything? Not yet? Think about anything that triggers your sadness, and think about your behavior, and think about the result. Anyone have anything yet?
It was like homework, like what you said. Like, I don't want to do it, so then I don't, and then it comes back later, and it's like, you have a 59 minute class. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. But were you aware
Yes.
of this? Were you present in that moment when it's happening?
Yeah.
Can you tell how you feel when it's happening?
Like, I don't care about it, because I really don't. So I just look at it, I'm like, I ain't trying to do all that. So then I don't do it.
Anyone else? No one else want to share? Or you don't have anything else? Do you have anything? No? No? No one has anything. Surprises. This is the first time. You have something?
Yes. So, like, a trigger when my family used to call me fat, then my behavior was, I sad because, you know, my entire family used to call me fat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of was, but they were telling me the truth. But, my resolution was to not become fat.
Okay, that's an example, that's good. Well, what's the time? Okay, I wanna finish in 3 minutes. So this is the recap of what we talked about. If any of you couldn't think of anything now, keep that in mind. Trigger, behavior, outcome. Those 3 things. It's gonna help you be aware of a lot of habits that you think that you're aware, but not fully aware of. If I had my phone, I would have given you a lot more like practical examples. Because I write them down as soon as they come to me. I write them down. Even if I'm walking, even if I'm driving, I park by the highway to write them down. That's how life-changing it was for me. To know, fully aware, mindful of the behaviors that I go through, that I know about, but I'm not fully aware about. And this is just to recap what we went through. The keys to change, we talked about that. Your why, your motivation, your how, strategy, education, and your what. What are you becoming? What is the value? And then the central theme. Pain is part of life, suffering is optional. Pain is your tragedies, your experiences, suffering is your interpretation of them, or lack thereof. Try to change your body, your physiology, your mind, your focus. Remember we did the blue-red experiment with him? And then last, the meaning, how you speak to yourself. And then we talk about you not being your habits. Don't ascribe to your identity, what is a mere habit. And then we try to practice awareness and curiosity, but I didn't get a lot of examples to work with, but that's okay. Sometimes it's not something that comes to the mind quickly. And then we mapped out some habit loops. We had some people at the back there share. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Comments? Things you want to share?